Hey guys, Noah's Gaming PCs with another quick video. So today we're going to be analyzing this very ugly graphics card, but if you guys have been following me enough, you know this is one of my favorite low budget graphic cards to put into a budget low end light gaming computer like a Optiplex old office PC desktop. You just plug one of these in and you have a little low budget gaming PC. So we're gonna look at some different videos across some different games. Look, it's so affordable. It's like 35 bucks now at the time of this recording. It's ugly, but it gets the job done. It only has 2 gigabytes of GDDR5. Again, this is the RX 460, and it's very good considering the price and what it can do. So let's go ahead and look at the very first games here. So obviously here we're looking at Starfield. You can actually run Starfield with this, but it's not playable. And if you looked at this video that I filmed for you guys, eventually a couple minutes into the game just the graphics can't handle it. So eventually you see it just the game crashes here. Unfortunately, it just can't handle. So Starfield, obviously you can't play with the RX 460. All right, but we can play other games if you are of the mindset of low settings 1080p resolution across esport titles and some AAA titles. Then yes, the RX 460 is a good graphics card. For you get a big bang for the buck. So Starfield, obviously you can't. Let's look at Counter-Strike 2 on low settings. You can see the RX 460. This one, in this video I paired it with a i5 6500 with only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can see in the bottom left corner here the so 70 frames per second, 60 frames per second. I'm just analyzing here. 90 frames per second. So I did mention over here that on average you're looking at roughly over 105 frames per second if you sit here. So again, Counter-Strike, pretty impressive. Again, this is the RX 460 with only 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. So let's look at the next game. Again, Counter-Strike here. Counter-Strike 2 on medium settings. The RX 460 can handle the game. You know, right? Look at that. It looks smooth. I played this. I tested this myself. I know it's a good graphics card if you were looking to play games like this. All right, so you know it speaks for itself. I think on this one I mentioned on medium settings, you're definitely going to get over an average of 85 frames per second, plenty to be competitive in this game. Again, this is one of the newer games out there. Fortnite, look at this, crazy guys. RX 460 low performance. I mean performance mode, low settings. Look at that. And this is the latest chapter of Fortnite. 90 frames per second, over 100 frames per second. Look at that. Nice and smooth. So the RX 460 can definitely handle Fortnite. The latest version of Fortnite, easily over 100 frames per second. I think if we stick around here, I think it's actually over 120 on average. So there you go. Very doable Fortnite. Here it is again, but this time it's paired with a much better a better CPU. Let's just put it that way. The R5 4500, and look at that, 160 frames per second. So definitely it's going to be very important with what CPU you pair the RX 460. This guy right here, this guy right here, this guy right here can play that. Look at that. Look at that. More than enough frames per second to be competitive. All right, Minecraft. Again, Minecraft, obviously the RX 460 can handle that. Look at that, over 500 frames per second. Again, Minecraft is a simple game to run, not that graphically demanding, but look at that. Look at that. RX 460 can play Minecraft, and it can play Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, let's be a little bit honest here. This is the lowest settings possible, 1080p. The RX 460 here, and you're looking at over 40 frames per second. It's still playable. But again, this is a demanding game, and fortunately the RX 460 can play it. So I'm going to give it the green light. I think it's doable on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Definitely, as you guys can see here, very cool, very cool. Over 50 frames per second there. That's nice. That's nice. What about this? Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. The RX 460 can play this. Look at that. You're averaging about 60 frames per second. This is on the minimum settings, 1080p. Actually, it dropped down to 30, back to 40, close to 50. So, I invite you guys to look at the video. So it's still playable. It's more or less playable. You obviously want to have higher frames per second. But, the fact that Warzone is demanding and the RX 460 with only 2 gigabytes of VRAM can handle it. Look at that, close to 60 average frames per second on minimum settings. It looks good. It looks really good. Next game, Overwatch. Easily can play this. I think this is on low settings. You're going to get close to 120 frames per second. Again, this is the RX 460, this very old used graphics card, but it gives you good bang for the buck. Look at that. Overwatch, easily, nice smooth play. All right, Valorant. Valorant is a game that pretty much any graphics card can actually play. It's not complicated. Close to 300 frames per second on the highest settings. Again, this is the RX 460. And Cyberpunk. Okay, let's be honest. Cyberpunk, it's not. You can play it, but it's not going to be enjoyable. So again, Cyberpunk is a heavy duty, demanding game, just like Starfield. And you're getting sub 300. Sub 30 frames per second. Really, on Cyberpunk, so it's not realistic. I wouldn't recommend the RX 460. Again, it all depends what type of games you're looking to play, but if you're okay with 30 frames per second, then I guess you can play Cyberpunk on the RX 460. But in my opinion, it's just not going to be an enjoyable gaming experience. That's just my personal taste. Okay, The Witcher. Witcher is another demanding game, and again, it's very similar to the Cyberpunk. You're getting sub 30 frames per second. So the RX 460 obviously is having struggles here with being able to play these these really big AAA titles even on the lowest settings. So you'd have to know the limitations if you decide to get this card. If you're good with esport titles and playing most of the AAA titles on low settings, 1080p or below resolution, then you should be fine with the RX 460. I'm a big fan of it. Here we have another test with the Witcher. Here it's above 30 frames per second because I changed it to direct. Again, it all ties down to the fact that you need to know the right settings that you need to pick. The right settings will let you play pretty much any game with any graphics card. So let's look at this a little bit more. Over 30 frames per second. It's playable. It's more or less it's okay, but it's subjective. I wouldn't play with the RX 460, The Witcher 3, in my opinion, even though it's above 30 frames per second on this settings. But you have to just know the limitations. Here we are, Forza Horizon. Look at that. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Close to 50 frames per second. It is playable, in my opinion. The RX 460 on low settings, 1080p. Now we can increase this by lowering our resolution, and that just makes sense. Just to lower the resolution. Look at that, 60 frames per second. So look at that, the RX 460. This little ugly graphics card can handle these type of games, guys, if you know what settings to play. Now, Apex Legends. This is on the low settings here. When I was playing this, it's Apex Legends is competitive. You need to at least 60 frames or above, in my opinion, and this one is struggling to get even to 60 frames. It's more like 30, 40, 50 frames per second, as you guys can see. But yeah, so it's Apex Legends. The RX 460 will struggle. In my opinion, it's not worth playing this game with this graphics card. And last but not least, GTA 5. Look at that, this little RX 460 on high settings. Sorry for the commercial, guys, but it's very doable. Definitely doable. And as soon as we get rid of these ads, but again, we are talking about this card right here, and the fact that you can play modern game titles, esports on 1080p and low settings across all different type of games, AAA titles as well. Some of them, not all of them. It's really worth the $35 that you can get this graphics card for. I'm a big fan of it. I love it. I'm a big proponent for it, and I'm sorry these commercials are so long, but yeah. If you ever want to get a light gaming light gaming graphics card, the RX 460. It's where it's at. I definitely recommend it. Now we're about to see GTA 5 with the RX 460 on high settings, 1080p. You're getting that 60 frames per second on average, essentially. Look at that. There's the evidence there. Very playable game, actually, on the high settings. Now, if you lower the settings, you're going to definitely get over 60 frames per second. So, again, it's just crucial. You guys have to know what settings you need to go when, depending on your hardware, what CPU you have paired with what GPU. So that's it, guys, for this video. Just wanted to show you the evidence that this little guy here, the RX 460, as you guys know, I am a little biased. I'm a big fan of it because you can play almost all the games out there on low settings, 1080p. So that's it for this video. Noah's Gaming PCs. Let me know if there's a graphics card that you want me to make another video where I kind of go through the different games, how it looks, what I think about it. I'll be happy to do that. Again, Noah's Gaming PCs. High FPS at a low cost. And I do remind you, please check out my Shopify website where you guys can pick up my ready to ship gaming computers at affordable prices. And let me know if you have any questions. Again, God bless, guys. Noah's Gaming PCs. Thanks for the support. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace and goodbye.